Hello, and welcome to episode 200 and something of The Joy of Coding. 239 of The Joy of Coding. Hello, my name is Mike Conley. I'm so happy to have you here. We're going to be live hacking on Firefox things today. And you're in the right place if that's what you're looking for. Hold on, my microphone is poorly positioned. I should have adjusted that before I started. Let's get started. So let me just quickly share my screen. Hey, all right. So, if you are new to the stream, a general reminder that no plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I think I know the sorts of things I want to hack around on and explore. But I might get stuck. I might get rabbit holed. I might be spending a huge swaths of this stream being confused or asking questions of the code and myself and the universe. Who knows? This is real live hacking as captured in the wild, you're not just going to see pre-written solutions and things that I already know how to do. You're going to watch me struggle. That's all part of the game. So if it looks like things are going south, then we're all that's part of the job description. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the agenda that we're looking at is something that is accessible. It's available to you. If you are watching this on YouTube, check the video description for an agenda link. If you are watching this on Air Mozilla, it'll be in the video description, I think. There's a description somewhere near the bottom or the side. I don't remember. And if you're watching this on Twitch, there is a link. There's a link here. It's agendas. There is a link because I'm now self-hosting these agendas. Here's the agenda, episode 239. I'm just going to pass this into the live hacking channel. And as I update my Joplin notebook here, then slowly but surely that should, update the live published site, and then you can reload and follow along. So if I start adding things like links and notes and you're watching in real time, just hit reload after about a minute and that stuff will show up. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that there is an episode guide, and you should check it out. If you are, maybe watching this in the future and you want to know what sorts of things I covered, what topics we went into, then check out the episode guide. And if you're watching a previous episode, maybe you want to find out what happened in episode 130 or 150 or episode 2, then you can check out the episode guide and you can read up on, I think it has video links, it'll have agenda links if those exist, because I think we brought in the agenda like a dozen or so episodes in. It's that's where you want to be. That's the sort of the storehouse, the repository of knowledge, and it's also something that's fully contributed to by viewers just like you. So if you, for example, have your own corrections, addenda, ideas for the episode guide, send them my way. The episode guide is hosted on GitHub. Send me a pull request if you want to add your own corrections to the episode guide, maybe your own notes, that sort of thing. I'm very accepting of pull requests. If you're not actively harming the episode guide, I'll just absorb it. And if you're not sure what I mean by a pull request or a repository, there's a guide in here that one of our prolific contributors, SmurfD, recommends, and you should check it out. It's in the agenda. Before I move on, though, I also want to plug a fellow live hacker. So there is there's a fellow who I used to work with. He used to work at Mozilla. Who's really, really, really well versed in browser automation systems. So basically, if you've ever used Selenium to instrument a browser to run a test, like an integration test, and have the browser be basically puppeted around, you run a command and a browser opens up and it browses to a website and it clicks buttons and you write tests that way. Selenium is one of the de facto choices for that kind of testing, and Automated Tester is this fellow's name, and you can follow him on Twitch. This is his Twitch stream. He's got 2 videos up, recent broadcasts. They're about an hour or so each. Really, really knowledgeable fella, and you should totally check him out. Automated Tester doing browser automation stuff. Really excellent. Okay, let's get started. First of all, I will take a sip of tea. I'm also going to take this opportunity to turn off my Slack notifications. So many streams, says Smurfd. That's correct. Everyone's streaming. There's a lot of content out there. Everyone's at home. That's the thing. Everyone's at home. So, you know, I guess even when I was in the office, I was streaming. But like now that people are home, I think they're figuring out that, you know, hey, I need a video conferencing rig. Hey, maybe I can just live hack it while I'm doing this. People, it's catching on. In fact, there's like, I think I saw something recently. It's like live hackers community. There's this website I saw, Hacker One. Oh man, I was just on this website. Let me see if I can find it. There's this community of live hackers. It's almost like how do you describe it? These are you know, it's a big list of people who like to live hack, and I don't know what's behind it. Like I don't know if there's like a whole lot of money or anything behind it, but there is a live hacking group, and I just want to supply the link because I think it's pretty cool and you should check it out if you're interested. If live hacking, if you're watching this, chances are you enjoy watching people hack on stuff. And so I want to share this. And where is it? Hang on. I saw it on my phone. And where was it? Yes, found it. The live coders. So livecoders.dev. This is the link I wanted to share. livecoders.dev. So I don't even know what this is. I saw it fly by on Twitter, and it sounds relevant to my interests anyways, and maybe it's relevant to your interests if you enjoy live hacking. It's livecoders.dev. I'll drop a link to that in the agenda. Livecoders.dev. I'll make that a link. And, you know, there's a bunch of people on here. Big list of people and presumably they're all on Twitch. This person looks like they've got links to Twitch and GitHub and Twitter and YouTube. This person has like Instagram, I guess. Anyways, you should check them out. Who knows? There might be some really fascinating stuff in here that you want to follow. People, it's got tags. You can see what sorts of things they work on. PowerShell, SharePoint, Microsoft 365, Veronica Geek. If you're interested in PowerShell stuff, check out Veronica Geek, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I've never visited their stream before, but I presume based on what I'm reading here. So check this out. And apparently you can join them. You can apply to be part of the team. And there's qualifications. I don't get it. But anyways, maybe that's interesting if you like live hacking stuff. Okay, so what are we working on today? Enough beating about the bush. I am going to probably be reviewing some code, but I also want to explore some code. So one of the things that we've been working on recently is a reorganization of some of our menus. What we call the app menu or the hamburger menu. This is being reorganized. A new one is being built. Some of the sub menus are being reorganized a little bit. We're trying to cull out like redundant items because our menus have kind of been this unorganized dumping ground for years, you know, and this is almost like the cleaning out the attic or cleaning out the basement exercise where you kind of just go through and go, should we still keep this? It's like we're Mary Kondoing. Is it Maria Kondo? What's the term? Mary Kondo? What's the, does it spark joy? Mary Kondo. KonMari from Mary Kondo. Yeah, we're doing that to our menus. And so it's like boiling them down to just the essential items that we really need, that users need. You know, making sure that if they're, you know, trying to get rid of redundancy where we don't need redundancy. Sometimes you need redundancy, but sometimes you don't. And we really want to sort of think through what's in our menus. And some of them are just like things that don't do what they say. Like for a while there, we had an item in the help menu that was like a tour of the browser, and it really just took you to Sumo. It was like, or just a list of features, and it wasn't a tour. And there have been some other things that didn't make sense where they were. So anyways, this is a work in progress version of the new menu. Now the styling is not settled yet. Like we don't know what the styling is going to be like yet. And there's some things that are just flat out broken. Like the zoom buttons, the icons don't exist yet. The indentation is off. But some things, you know, we've been able to work on and ship already, and they might actually ship in advance. So if you're going to be using Firefox 87 soon, you'll notice that like the help menu has been really sort of boiled down. We've gotten rid of some of those redundant items. The bookmarks menu has also been sort of reorganized. The history menu is going to be reorganized. The library is being reorganized. That sort of thing. I see a question inside of Twitch. So apparently, live coders are a group of developers who do mostly educational streamers who do development on topics like .NET, JavaScript, etc. It was founded by Jeff Fritz, aka C# Fritz, here on Twitch from Microsoft, and they do live coders conf every now and then. Oh, great! Well, thank you, Tenno Diablo, for that sort of expansion on that live coders stuff. So it seems like there's like some serious organization going on back there. It's not just sort of a cabal of people, but they've got like a conference maybe. You should check it out, livecoders.dev. What is it? I don't know, but go check it out. Maybe you'll like it. So yeah, we've been reorganizing some of our menus, and one of the menus that we want to reorganize is the accounts menu. So let me pull up the bug that I'm referring to. Firefox accounts menu. Bug, Proton, ham. So all this is folded under this meta bug called app menu work. That's like what we call a meta bug, where we just sort of collect other bugs and we link them all together. And like we've already done a bunch of stuff. You can see all these resolved bugs that we've done already. And these are the ones that are still in flight. Let me put this meta bug in the app menu meta bug. App menu reorganization meta bug. So you can follow along with that with our progress. But there's a bug in here about the app menu or the account menu. Yeah, it's Proton specific. So Proton is sort of like the code name for like an effort to reorganize the browser. And so I'm focusing mainly on the menus right now. And so Proton hamburger menu is kind of the hamburger menu has always been sort of the colloquial informal name for this button. The 3 lines button, because it kind of looks like a cross section of a hamburger, but it's technically called the app menu, but sometimes we call it the hamburger menu. Okay, so what are we doing with the accounts menu, and what is the accounts menu? Well, let me show you. Let me launch my nightly, and I'll show you what the accounts menu is. Okay. So the accounts menu is what's accessible via this button here. Actually, let me turn off the Proton app menu thing for a sec. Because the app menu is not even close to being done. So like it's not preffed on anywhere by default. Like it's very much a work in progress. And like things are not set in stone yet. So don't take like screenshots of it and be like, Mozilla plans to ship a broken Zoom toggle. Like that's not what's happening. It's a work in progress. So this is the old menu. This is the one that has like the correct Zoom icons and stuff. And this is my test email account. And this is the pre-existing account, Firefox account menu. You can access that menu also here. It's a little redundant, but that is the idea. And we're going to reorganize some of this menu. And I'm not really familiar with this menu at all. But one of the things I've learned kind of poking at it, particularly with strings, because I've been looking at sentence casing a bunch of these strings, is that the menu builds itself dynamically. So it's not like these items are just like in a static list somewhere and I can just reorganize them there. I mean, that might be true for some of it, but for some of the other things, this panel kind of constructs itself dynamically. I see a bunch of traffic inside of the chat. Hold on. Shearshack55 says, "Isn't new UI coming soon? I saw some new UI in FF Reddit." Yeah, some screenshots of like some like thoughts from UX had been posted around, and people had been sharing those. It's still all very work in progress. Like it's not set in stone. So we're still working on it. So new UI coming soon. Yeah, eventually once we sort of like nail it down. Danny Colon has supplied a know your menu graphic. Let me pull this up because I think this is kind of funny. See if I can access it here. Hamburger menu, donair menu. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Like donair, I don't normally consider it. I did not realize that's how you spelled donair. For me, donair is this food I would get if I'm in French Canada or on the East Coast. You get some donair. It's like meat on a spit, and then you put it on like a plate and eat it. And there's like a special kind of sweet sauce, donair sauce. And I think that's what's trying to be described here, is this like meat on a spit, a vertical meat. Like you might see donair and think it's like something you'd see like it's almost like a vertical shish kebab. Yeah. All right. Bento. Yep. Very nice. A kebab menu. Yep. And a meatball menu. That is what we call this menu, the meatball menu. Correct. Know your menu. I like that graphic. All right. In fact, I like that graphic so much, I'm going to try something. I'm going to see whether or not Joplin will accept me putting an image in here. So I'm going to hit save, and we're going to see whether or not my infrastructure can handle that. It's going to take a couple of seconds, but it's possible that it will just fall over completely. All right, so what do we want to do with the account menu? So I spelled it out in this bug, basically. But essentially, we want to be able to display 3 states. The user is signed in, but they don't have sync set up, because that is a state you can be in. I think most people who have a Firefox account inside of desktop probably have sync enabled, but believe it or not, you can sign in and not have sync enabled, and we have to handle that case. We make it so that we have a state where if you are signed in and sync is enabled and you only have the one device connected. So that's really useful if you're using sync as like almost like a backup system. You're not going to get the menu items for like sending stuff to other devices because you don't have any other devices. And then there's the state where you do have other devices. Maybe you have a phone or another, machine, like a desktop machine or a laptop connected. You can send devices or send tabs to different devices and whatnot. And so, this is the structure of the menu if you have 2 or more devices connected. And one of the states that's not in here, but we also have to kind of consider, is the signed out state, because you can sign out of your Firefox account. But the thing is that there's this other bug where we want to not show the Firefox button if you aren't signed in. That's true. That's a new thing we're going to do for Proton. Is, if the Firefox account button is around, then you know that you're signed in. And if you are signed out, it's gone. And so we don't really need to consider the signed out state. But the thing is, we want to hold this back for a little while until like the whole Proton effort is ready to roll out. And so we can't ship this ahead. We can't. There are certain changes that we've made to the menus that are going to go out in advance. Like the changes to the help menu are going to go out in probably 87 in advance. But the changes to this Firefox account menu can only go out when that other part goes out. And I think the other part is like the showing and the hiding of the Firefox account button. And that only goes out when the rest of it goes out. Like when we decide to say, hey, we're ready. We're done the reorganization, the retheme effort, send the whole thing out. And so what that means is that we need to essentially have a fork of the Firefox account menu, because we're going to have one that has like the original organization and all of the different modes: signed out, signed in, not syncing, signed in, 1 device connected, signed in, 2 devices connected. And then you're going to have a new one, which, sorry for hitting the mic. Yeah, a new panel that has only these 3 particular conditions. And it's reorganized differently. So part of today's exercise, part of what I'm hoping we can do today, is figure out how we can fork the menu, have a switch between the 2, and maybe even build some of the fork. We'll copy over the old menu. We'll see if we can make it populate, and then we can start reorganizing it and making sure that the original menu stays the way it's supposed to be and it doesn't get touched. So that's what I'm hoping to do today. I'm just going to quickly check the chat. Shearshack asks why all menu names are so anti-vegan. Good question. These do seem very meat, like hamburger, doner, bento, kebab, meatball. It's true. This could be a veggie burger. We don't know. I don't know if there's such thing as like vegetarian or vegan doner or bento. I believe you can have a veggie kebab. I think kebab just means on a stick. So kebab could be like, or maybe that's the shish part, shish kebab. I don't know. I don't know the meaning of kebab, but maybe you can have like a veggie kebab. And meatballs, I think you can have vegetarian meatballs, right? If you can have a vegetarian burger, you can form them into a meatball. So, yes, on the face of it, it's so anti-vegan, but maybe in the future we'll have like veggie burger button. That's what we'll say. Smurf D says this new Firefox GUI is called Proton, and this seems to be part of that. It's part of a reorganization and retheme effort. And so I'm focused solely on the reorganization effort of the menus. That's my focus right now. And there are a bunch of people helping me. I'm filing a lot of bugs. I'm trying to break down the work. So let's figure out, if we can, how to create this fork of this menu. So the first thing I want to know is, where is this menu defined? Where does the pre-existing menu exist? So let's figure out how to do that first. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's get started. And if you have any questions about what I'm doing, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer them. So I'm pulling up the browser toolbox. The browser toolbox is like my go-to tool for debugging the browser UI. And we're going to use the meatball menu on the browser toolbox to choose disable pop-up auto-hide. What that's going to do is it's going to make it so that this thing stays open while I bring up the inspector, so I can inspect the items in this menu and sort of see the structure of what we're dealing with. Okay, so we have this DOM structure. I can see that this thing, the root panel is called panel UI-FXA, so that's probably something that we're going to be forking. SureShack55 says, off topic, can we compile Firefox stable and not nightly version? Yes, you can, but it's not going to have, like, if you locally compile stuff, you're not going to get, there are certain things you need to do in order to like get the Firefox branding, like the official branding. And you're really not supposed to do that. Like if you, for example, are putting together your own build of Firefox, which you're welcome to do so, but if you post it and share it and you call it Firefox and you use the Firefox name and branding, that's when like lawyers arrive. So you want to, if you're going to like make your own release of Firefox, maybe you've customized it yourself, maybe you've changed how some of it works or something, you're going to definitely want to either come to an agreement with the foundation on how you're going to use those trademarks, or you're going to want to call it something else entirely. That's why things like, you might wonder, like, what's Iceweasel? What is Waterfox? What are these things? These are forks of Firefox that, they're welcome to exist. Forks are great. People using the code to do what they want, but they can't use the Firefox branding unless they come to an agreement with the foundation. That's part of the licensing. Like even the Mozilla Corporation, who I work for, we license the Firefox branding from the foundation. And so if the corporation ever goes rogue, which we are not going to do, then the foundation could like just say, okay, you can't use the brands anymore. That's how that works. All right. So I don't want to delay any further. Let's find out more about this item. So panel UI-FXA is the root node, the root panel node. Let's see if we can look that up in SearchFox and see how it works. So what I'm going to start with is the actual structure. The DOM structure is defined in the UI, or it's sort of defined in the DOM. So the good news is that even though there is a bunch that's probably built dynamically, there's also a bunch that isn't. Like this this looks like it's mostly like built into the markup, and that's good because that means what we can do is we can copy most of this and copy the rules and whatnot, and then have the script that's opening this, presumably there's something that's using this identifier to know which one to open. Let's see if we can find it. Here, this looks like it's probably here. There's some work to, like, whenever the FXA panel needs to be updated, they'll do that work in there. Inside of browser.js, there's this update toolbar menu, which is interesting because it's very similar to the other code. So whenever you choose the Firefox account button, we'll do this. We'll say toggle account panel UI-FXA. So we might actually want to have some sort of switch here. I'm also curious about why panel UI-FXA is being passed as an argument. I can't imagine the account panel ever uses any other IDs anywhere. Let's see who else calls this. Yeah, it's only ever called once, it looks like, and it's always called with panel UI-FXA. So this to me sounds like it's ripe for the switch location. Like, instead of having the callers just say, you know, use this ID and here's some arguments, we'll get rid of that first argument, and then inside of toggle account panel we'll have our switch to say, okay, well, is the Proton app menu stuff enabled? If so, use this ID, otherwise use this other ID. That's my plan. All right. So let's actually start with that. Let me write that down a little bit. I'm going to take some notes. Unfortunately, I have not completed the work to transition my my work notes off. See, here's Evernote just spamming me again. Just like, I don't care. I don't want premium. And I realize you're trying to make a living. You're trying to upsell, but I would have hoped by now you would have realized that I am not planning on. And now it's broken. Now it's broken. I have to restart Evernote. I'm really sort of disappointed with the recent release of Evernote. And the performance seems to be a lot worse. So yeah, this is what I needed, the editor, so that this could come up. So I'm going to transition all of my notes off of Evernote and onto Joplin. But that's still, I have to do the work. I have to do the work to actually make that happen. I need to make sure that Joplin has everything I need for all of my work stuff, not just the agenda, but the work stuff. So there's a little bit of a migration step that I need to figure out. Smurf D writes, yes, just checking for updates in Evernote breaks from time to time. Agreed. And sometimes it pulls focus. That's the one thing that really upsets me, is that sometimes Evernote will open a dialog window and pull window focus, just to say, hey, you're up to date. Like, it's not like it even applied an update. It's just telling me that it was up to date. Who knows? Maybe that's a bug and they fixed that bug. But that is like borderline user hostile. You know, it's like a clown jumping out when you're in the middle of something serious and going like, hey, everything's normal. When I don't need that. I already did send feedback. There's this little trumpet that's like send feedback, and I sent a trumpet. I said, please do not pull window focus. I'm probably going to start using a different product soon. Shearshack asks, will Firewall solve update issue? I doubt it, because the client is still going to keep asking for it. And, you know, I have a feeling the client is making a lot of the decisions on its own. Who knows? Maybe a firewall would do it, but at this point, I don't care. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to jump ship from Evernote. It was a good run. Evernote did a lot for me, but it's time to go. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is convert. I'm going to put together a plan here. Or create a copy of the Firefox account panel view. So that's this stuff here. We're going to create a new one. And then we're going to update toggle account panel arguments so as to not accept an ID as first argument, and then switch on app menu Proton Pref there. And then I want to, what do I want to do? Find all of the places where JS refers to the original panel and see if we need to switch there too. And then start modifying the forked panel. Start modifying the forked panel to match the specifications in the bug. That's my plan. That's my initial plan. Danny Colin Rice, it's for the best. Joplin is open source and isn't tied to a centralized server. Absolutely correct. That's the other nice thing. I can't say nice enough things about Joplin. If you're not sure what Joplin is this really cool note-taking application. It's doing a great job of being an Evernote replacement for me. There are certain things it doesn't do out of the box. Like there's no centralized server. You have to set up your own thing if you want to like host and share notes. I had to set up something special just so I can like share my my agendas the way I'm doing it. And it's like it's basically a small Python script that I'll eventually open source. It's like a Python script that eventually does rsync to my server. And the reason for that is because I don't want to I find that these documents can be static, and I also want to do a bunch of different things. Like I want to create a special style sheet and all these things. So long story short, I wrote a script to do it. And there's like a really cool API that whenever you're running Joplin, it runs like a local server and you can like query it. It's a REST API. It's really nice. It's a nice way of getting data out from Joplin while it's running. And that's what my script is using actually. And it's running in the background. Like if you see back here, I've got this thing that's periodically running in the background to synchronize the notes with Joplin. And the way it's talking to Joplin is through that local REST API, which is really nice. It's something I super understand. While I'm thinking about Joplin, by the way, before we continue, I wanted to see whether or not that image worked out. So let's take a look. Hey, it did. It did. Mwah. My scripting worked. Very happy about that. All right. Let's proceed with the plan, shall we? So let me put a link to the plan for now. How will I do this? This is the way I used to do it. This is the way. I'm going to have to find a way of migrating all of my old Evernote links to point to wherever I end up publishing all of my new bugs. But here's what I'm working on. How am I going to do this? I'm going to do it like this. Put that in here. And I guess I got to do it like that. And copy that. And then notes. And then agenda, share, copy the link. Booyah. So you should now have links to the notes on Evernote for now anyways. So this will also update periodically. Okay, so let's do it. So we've got ourselves a plan. So we need to find the panel FXA, panel UI FXA element. That's right here. So we're going to create a copy of it. What would be ideal actually is if a lot of this was like lazy in a template, and we do that in other places. And so I'm going to actually take a quick peek around to see if it's possible for us to put a panel view inside of a template. Because what would be really nice is if we didn't have to process and insert the panel into the DOM until it's necessary. That's a thing we started to do in a couple of different places, and it would be really nice if we could do that here as well. Lazy panel. Do we do that? Move the Star UI bookmark panel to be lazy loaded. So yeah, there was like effort a couple of months ago to make a bunch of our panels lazy. And so now would be a good opportunity to do that. And so inside of browser XHTML, that panel got moved to there. Something called edit bookmark panel template. So here, but I don't see any panel views. And that might be a problem. It's only panels and not panel views. Oh, no, here's one inside of a multi-view. So I'm just looking for a raw panel view. Aha! Got one. Yes, the main view cache. And we do the same thing, I think, for the Proton variant. So this should work. Like, we can probably put our panel FXA. It's possible, now that I think about it, because I see a big list here. Is this inside of a template? I think it might be. Panel view, panel view, panel view, panel view, panel view. Yeah, we're inside of a template, so we're good. We're good. We can just fork it with complete ease. Let's do it. All right. Forked with ease. So I'm going to call this panel UI. Instead of FXA, what do I call it? Proton FXA. Is there like a convention? Proton main view. Well, I'll do it like that for now. Class is a panel UI subview. There's an ID, panel, Proton FXA menu. Do I actually need to do it that way? Probably not, actually, because it will only be inserted into the DOM if it's the one selected. So let's just see what happens. I'm gonna try and make this one really obvious that it's. I'm just gonna put in the word fork, and I'm gonna put in the word original on this one. So now if I build this. All right. So if I go to here, I see original. So my goal is if I turn on the pref, the app menu pref, then we should see fork here. That's what I'm hoping to do next. Okay, so we have. You know what I should have done? I should, instead of have this being a numeric list, let's have it be a checklist. So done. Next, we're gonna update gsync toggle account panel. So that's inside of a file called browser-sync. That I know. And so instead of passing in the view ID like this, we're going to say let view ID equal, and then panel UI. There's a variable that's defined on it, panel UI.js, about Proton, called Proton app menu enabled. We're going to say panel UI, Proton app menu enabled. And we'll say if it's enabled, then you're using this. Otherwise, you are using the original, which is this. I don't think view ID is used earlier. Okay, so now we need to update the callers that we're all using toggle account panel. There are 3 of them. They're all inside of browser.xhtml. So toggle account panel. We're just going to get rid of this. Looking good. Looking good. All right, let's build it and see. Now, in this particular case, we're going to want to restart between flipping the pref. Otherwise, we're going to have nodes with the same IDs, because some of the child nodes of those panels have the same IDs, and I don't want that. That's not a realistic scenario. That's not a thing that we want to encourage. Okay, well, that's clearly broken. This one says original. Okay, that's good. I wonder why this is so broken. It's possible I've confused it by putting that weird node at the top. But at any rate, let us now turn on the app menu and restart. Okay, fork. Very good. And I can't actually access it from here, but yes, we are seeing the fork. This is very good. And like the styling is all weird because we've got some like sort of preliminary experimental styling for the menu. But we are seeing the fork. Very good. Now what we can do is we can actually add an item at the top of here to open up the Firefox account menu. So let's do that real quick. What's the best way to do that? Let's find the original toolbar button. We'll find the Proton app menu, put that toolbar button in. We'll put in a separator because I think there's supposed to be a separator there. That'll just sort of be our starting point. Let me know if there are any questions. Just drop them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. I might not have an answer, but I'll do my best. Okay. Hooray! So look how broken it is, but we are looking at the fork. That's working. Super broken. Super broken. Now I wonder if the I'm going to get rid of the two strings here. I wonder how much that's going to impact things, because yeah, those did look awful just now, especially when opening it from the panel, the toolbar button. It was just like the sizing was all wrong. Tim asks, is Proton a new UI design or what is it? So Proton, you know, it's this effort to reorganize the browser. You know, there's some ideas on like a new look and feel. But I'm primarily focused on reorganizing the menus right now. That's what's happening. And if you're curious about all of the work that's going on, you should check out the Proton meta bug. I guess, yeah, visual refresh, it was the name of the meta bug. And so there are things that are like, we're going to maybe refresh some things about the tabs bar and the door hangers and modals and context menus and a bunch of stuff. And reorganize them and refresh them a little, rejuvenate them. So yeah, there's this Proton meta bug that I will put a link to in here. But it's all very early, like it's still early days. Do not read into it as like, oh, what's currently in Nightly is what's shipping. It's still very early days. Whoops, did I turn on insert? Still very early days. Do not interpret what's in Nightly as what's going to ship. Unless it explicitly says in the bug that it's like gonna like ship right now or something. It's like there's a bunch of stuff that's work in progress. So that's, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so I've gotten rid of those things. Let's see what it looks like now when I click this button. Okay, good. So it turns out that string at the top is really confusing our panel code, I guess. That's not super surprising, but like, hey, now we've got this thing, and presumably, since this is the fork, I can start messing with it. Great news. That's great news. That was the first step. So let's see. The instructions or the things that I want to do are like, we're going to remove the Firefox services subsection. So there was this section within the accounts menu where we were listing different services like monitor and send. We are going to, especially since like send is no longer, I don't think send actually works anymore. Like I don't like, send was discontinued because of abuse, so we're just going to get rid of that section for now. So let's start there. So Proton FXA. We can get rid of the section. Done. Let's take a look. There's a kind of a busted string here. I got a feeling that this busted string is because the I'm cloning some, I don't know. Like I don't have any associated tabs or associated devices with this account, and this is just not working for some reason. I don't know why. But we did correctly get rid of the services section. Let me just double check what happens if I disable the app menu. Let's disable the app menu. In fact, I can probably open up a new. Yeah. So the styling continues to persist, but like the I get to see the old menu whenever I do it that way, without the restart. It's a sort of a quick way to check. Okay. So that's good. Next up, remove the logins and passwords entry. Okay, can do. Done. Where are we in our to-do list here? We did that. I haven't done this part yet. We're kind of skipping ahead. Maybe that's what I'm gonna just reorder these. Change the order. So right. So we're gonna be changing a string. We're gonna add a new string. Called manage account. Okay. We can't just add strings willy-nilly and lightly. We always should like think about it, because our volunteer localizers are the ones who are generating all the different variations. Sync manage account. That pre-exists, but it's in sentence case. FXA manage account. Yeah. So what do we have right now? Account settings. If I go to my build again. Huh, all right. Account setting. Oh, I see it. It's under here. Account settings. So they want that to say manage account instead. All right. And I think they also want to reorganize it or reorder it so that like the account settings and the email address are in reverse order. So instead of it saying my email address, account settings, it will say manage account and then the name. And then there's no avatar. That's the other thing. We're going to get rid of the avatar there. So let's go back up here. We can get rid of the avatar. And then there's these like weird default label things. All right, let's just build this real quick. Take a look. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow. Okay. So we've gotten rid of that. There we go. And then it finally updates once I have signed in. And now we need to like reorganize those two things. Smurfdy asks, what kind of tea are we going with today? How'd you know it was tea? That's exactly right. It is tea. Can you smell it? Yes. So today we have classic orange Pico. In Canada, at least where I grew up, orange Pico is like the dominant black tea. There are two main competing brands of black tea, orange Pico tea in Canada. One is called, from a company called Tetley. The other one's called Red Rose. Red Rose, I think, is famously Canadian. In fact, I believe there was like a commercial where, you know, British people were trying Red Rose orange Pico tea, and they're like, this is tasty. And someone goes, it's from Canada. And they went, Canada? And that was like the marketing campaign. It was from the 80s, I think. And this is Tetley. It's not Canadian. I think my family's always preferred Tetley. Red Rose is fine. This is not an advertisement. I am not sponsored by Tetley tea. I've also enjoyed Mother Parker, I think is the name of the tea. Mother Parker is pretty good. Back when I would travel in the UK, I would have Twinings. But in general, what I prefer to drink tea-wise is orange Pico. I actually find orange Pico really difficult to find when I'm not in Canada. The default teas I find whenever I'm in like the States or in Europe or something, or in the UK, are like Earl Grey, English breakfast, chamomile. I can't stand chamomile. Orange Pico is like, that's what I like. To me, that's what I grew up with. That's what I like. All right, now we want to reorganize these things. Let's not pay attention to the style. I know that's like super unreadable when I hover it, but we're not paying attention to the style. We're just paying attention to the structure and the content of the menu. And what I want to do is I want to reorganize these two things. And we're also going to make this so that I think it stops being a sort of a sub view. Instead, it will go directly to I think it goes directly to wherever the manage account thing goes. Like here, it's basically going to take me here. My user account. So notice it's got like this little like icon to say you're going someplace else. I'm curious to know whether or not we're going to want something similar. But let's take a look at how that works. So let's open up the dev tools again. Gotta use these. Don't have the dev tools section set up yet. Okay. Subview iconic, type open to new, on command, open FXA manage page from FXA menu. Okay. Sounds good. So I think that's what we want to convert this button to instead. Instead of click FXA menu header button, it's going to do what effectively this does. So let's just copy it on command. Do this instead. And then also going to change type to open to new. And we're going to change the class from subview button to subview, to also include subview button iconic. because it's got an icon. And let's check it out. Let's see what that looks like. So we'll turn off our little finger there. Rebuild. You know, there's something, you know what we should do? There's something I've heard of. I haven't tried it in a while. But there's this command called mock watch. It will watch and rebuild the source tree if you're using an artifact build, so that you don't have to like completely rebuild, like manually rebuild it. And I want to, there's a way that you can get it to reload Mozilla mock watch. Artifact builds, desktop, have Watchman. I do have that. Quick restart, workflow. And it's like you're working on the UI, and then if you like save a file, hit save, and then somehow a restart is happening. Quick restart key binding. Quick restart. What's the quick restart key binding? Accelerate. So meta alt R. If you're using a development build. Let's make sure that that works. So hang on. Do I need to open up a different terminal to do this? And do in a second terminal, then you do mock run. Okay, so let's try this. We've done mock build. Let's do mock watch. And then in a second terminal, I'm gonna do mock run whenever this is done running. So it's watching now. I'm gonna do mock run. Okay, so we've got ourselves a button here that's going to take us directly to the sync account stuff. That's exactly right. Let's just see what happens now. I'm curious about this mock watch thing because I've never really used it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo the change I just did, hit save, and then I'm going to say Command Alt R. That restarts the browser. Didn't exactly. Oh, there we. Oh, wow! You see that? Yeah, I just had to sign in, but yeah, it's working. So I don't have to actually run mock build faster each time. That's kind of nice. All right, let's put it back. Let's do what we were doing again. Hit save. Command Alt R. And Booyah Shaka. That's nice. That might save me a bit of time. Let's keep going. So this might be interesting for you folks who are doing stuff with artifact builds, like theming stuff. It's like mock watch. What is it? Quick restart. Incremental builds. Mock watch. Incremental builds with mock watch and quick restart. Nice. Okay, let's keep going. We've removed the avatar, the icon. Done. We're going to change the string, some of the strings to not. Right now, I think, what does it say? It says like sync now. Right now in the tooltip, it'll say last sync : and then 51 seconds ago. And what we want to do instead is have like a little display underneath the sync now button that says when the last sync occurred. And it should be in the format last synced and then the time, 2 hours ago. that's gonna be. I think that might be end up being really interesting for our localizers. Last synced, because like we're talking about like past tense. We're using this API, which maybe you never heard of. I only found about it last week. Relative time format. So there's this web API called a relative time format where you pass in the locale that you care about, a particular style. There's some that are set up, and then you tell it how much time delta between like now and like some value. So like a value of 3 and a unit of quarters, and then it will like output in 3 quarters, which is pretty cool. And like if you used ES like for Espanol for Spanish, and then you used like 2 days ago, it would say pasado mañana, which I don't speak Spanish, but presumably that is like a way of expressing 2 days ago, a unit of 2 days. Danny Colin says it's going to take 2 lines in French. Imagine in German. Yeah, that's something we have to worry about, is very long strings. German is kind of like our go-to test bed for how we react to long strings. Last synced 2 days ago in German is like Gewenktungsfight. Like it'll be like a 20 character word and then followed by like, you know, a very precise description of units of time. Because, yeah. Oh, someone wrote it in. Zuletz synchronisert vor X. And then Evil Pie says, I don't think so. Vor 2 Tagen. So for 2 days ago, I presume 2 Tagen. We'll see. Well, let's actually see what happens whenever we put it into the console. So let's construct ourselves a formatter. And German, what is that? What's the locale code for German? GR? German locale code. DE, of course, DE. And then we're going to say F1 format -2 day. Vor 2 Tagen. Sorry, that's not 2. Vor 2 Tagen. Am I pronouncing that right? I don't know. I don't know how my accent is. Probably garbage. But there you go. DE is for Dutch, not German. Shoot! This is in Dutch. But Evil Pie and T-Bot says DE. V is pronounced like F. So it should be vor 2 Tagen. Right? Did I do okay? Please don't judge my accent. I learned relatively recently how to order coffee when I was in Germany before the pandemic, and it was like eine what is it? Something. Oh shoot! I had it. Small. What's small? A little small German word. Small. Not small. German word for how to say small. For small. Translate. Klein. That's right. Kleine. Klein. Eine kleine Kaffee bitte. I think that's how I asked for it. And the server was very tolerant of my German attempt, and I think they kind of rolled their eyes. So where I'm from in Canada, we have French Canada. I don't know why the English calls Deutschland Germany. That's what it says on the map. That's why. If it just make us put Deutschland on the map, and then we'll say Deutschland, but it says Germany on the map. In Canada, we have French Canada. We have a whole region, like a whole culture within Canada that speaks. They're bilingual or they speak French, and it's Danny Colin, I think, is actually one of those people who speaks French and is part of French Canada. And my French is very poor. But whenever I head towards that region of Canada, it's more towards the East Coast. When I head towards that region of Canada, that part of Canada really likes you to speak, like, to practice your French. Like, yes, they'll like, okay, if you speak English they will understandably roll their eyes and like they'll understand you, but it is polite to speak French when you're in French Canada because like, hey, you're in our house, speak French. And so I try, you know, and actually whenever I'm there, I find myself getting pretty good at it. But I found in Germany, when I was there, it's less like there's less concern of like you have to speak German. They like efficiency. It's almost like a stereotype that the efficiency is more important than the, you know, getting the language right. So I would try to speak a little bit of German, and if I was way out of my depth, the person who I was speaking to would instantly realize it, and they'd immediately flip to English, and the jig was up, and I'd have to flip to English. But whenever I'm in French Canada, I remember I was in a lineup to get a bagel at an airport in, I think, Quebec, and because I was in Quebec City. I was in an airport. There was a long line at a bagel place, and there were like 20 people behind me, and I had to catch my flight. But this person at this bagel place really wanted me to speak French, so I'm like struggling to order this bagel in French, and they're like, you know, s'il vous plaît, like I gotta get it right, I gotta get the phrase correctly, and then I got it, and the people behind me who are all probably late for their flight, you know, they're waiting as I construct this torturous, you know, phrasing for can I please have a bagel with, you know, butter toasted, and you know, eventually I was able to get on my flight. I did not miss my flight, thankfully, but that's how we do in Canada. Anyways, this is all distraction. This is all I should get back to work. What are we talking about here? Okay, so we've got ourselves our menu, and we've got ourselves a link now that's going to the you know, manage account area. That's good. That's what we wanted. Let's see if we can get this last synced string working. We're gonna need to add a new string. Whoopsie daisy. And I think we're probably going to do it kind of like this, where we're going to have like a button, and inside the button we're going to have two labels. We're going to have like the sync now and then a description of when the last sync occurred. So we can actually use this as a guide. But before I do that, let me just make sure I've got the order of everything correct of what we're doing. Signed in, one device connected. That's where I'm at. Let's take a look at this list. Manage account email address, so that ordering's wrong. Sync now. So we actually want to move this up here. There's only going to be one separator, so I can get rid of these two separators. Connect another device. Sync setting is going to move up. Sign out. There's no sign out button, but we're going to want a sign out button. That goes at the bottom. I think the sign out button used to be in the sub menu here. So we're going to have to find that and figure out how it works and then put an item at the bottom. But let's see if we can reorganize things right now. Let's move sync now above connect another device. Let's start there. Connect another device. We can get rid of this toolbar separator. We don't need it. Sync now, connect another device, sync settings. Setup sync. Is that the same thing? Oh, sync settings, yeah. Sync settings. Don't need the separator. And then a separator. Sorry. So we're going to want to move this. And then sign out. Now, whenever we have, like remote tabs, we're actually going to list them in this menu, and that's going to go at the bottom. So I'm going to get rid of this button. We don't need it anymore. It's not going to be a sub menu anymore. And that's going to be underneath the sign out button. So setup sync. There's going to be a sign out. Oh, we've already got sync settings. Oh, that's this one. Okay, sync settings. So connect another device. sync settings. Oh wait, send tab to device. Where was that? What I just removed? Sync remote tabs. Show remote tabs. No, that is not send. I don't think it is. Let's keep going. Let's connect device, sync settings. Yeah, and then a separator, and then sign out. And then if we have two devices, it's sync now, sync settings, separator, sign out. Then so like sign out. I'll just put a label here. Sign out, separator. Whoop. And then to do list of synced devices, synced tabs in devices. All right. And now, because of Watchman, I can just do the hot reload. Tbot asks, why are your selected tabs rounded on the top and the bottom? Is this a new style? This is something that we're tinkering with for the Proton retheme. It's just, you know, we're just experimenting, just tinkering. All right, so let's see here. Sign into Firefox. Eventually it's going to realize that I can, you know what? It's probably hitting an error because I've removed some items. Warnings. Maybe silently hitting an error because eventually, because sync is on. I am signed in already. Yeah. So something is freaking out because I don't have, I didn't sign, it thinks I didn't sign in, but I am signed in. So I think that's kind of related to this place where it's like find all of the places where JS refers to the original panel and its elements. See if we need to switch there too. Yeah, I'll bet there's like a chunk of code that like is very upset that some items are missing in here. But for now, what I'm going to do is... Oh, you know what else it could be? Just get rid of hidden now. Hidden true for now. So that I can just see it. Wait. No, sorry. That was the wrong thing. Sync now. I want to turn this into a toolbar button. It's kind of like this toolbar. So it's like I don't have, it's not iconic. Yes, align center. I don't have a great idea of what ID it's going to be yet. It's like to do some ID. It's not open to new. There's no command on it yet. Because it's going to, oh, there's a command. Do sync from menu. And then we're going to put two strings in here. Oh, close menu, none. Yeah. Because we don't want the menu to close when the user clicks it. Close menu, none. Oh, sorry. I hit the microphone. Apologize. On mouse over, refresh sync buttons, tooltip. Okay, don't need to do that necessarily because the tooltip is no longer where we're going to display the information about syncing. So toolbar sync now. Data L10N ID. To do some other ID. Equals sync now. Sync now or forever hold your peace. To do another ID. Value. I guess say last synced at such and such. And we're going to get rid of this. And it's hidden by default. So I'm going to say to do to make sure that we hide it by default. And now I'm going to get rid of this item. I'm going to reload this. Whoops. Alt Command R. There we go. Sync now. Oh, and see, it populated it. Very nice. So it was upset before, and now presumably when I'm clicking on this, it's trying to sync. That's great. So we're going to need some new strings here. I put in some like tentative IDs, or tentative like sort of placeholder strings, but we're going to need some new strings in here because I think what we currently say is like yeah, I think it's just sync. Let me just double check though. Oh no, we do say sync now. Okay, so I can reuse sync now. Sync now. And so what does sync now use? It's a toolbar button. FXA toolbar sync now. And then there's a syncing label. I wonder how that's going to work over here, because a label does not have a, does it have a value? Let's see what it says, like if I do it this way. Like the FXA toolbar sync now, what attribute is it going to try and set on this label node? Label. Yeah, and I don't think label.label, like I don't think this thing is gonna want a label. Okay. Well, let's turn it, it's back on. We're gonna reload. Let's just double check. Yeah. It's missing its string. So we're going to need to fork that string. That's unfortunate. I don't want to have to do, I don't think we should do that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do sync now. And then also to do I'm going to just pause. Sorry, I'm receiving a message. Very interesting. I apologize for the interruption. I was receiving a message that is sort of, it's not work related, it's family related, or it's, never mind. Let's see. What do I want to do next? Let's open up the to-do. We've kind of got this like kind of half working half broken menu right now. We've got roughly the right order of things. We've got these strings that we're going to need to like port. I wonder if maybe that's the right next move. It's like convert strings where necessary to Fluent. Fork where needed, because some of them are reused in multiple places, and we need to make sure that we're able to set the casing to be sentence casing. Let's see. What else do we want to do here? We can go back to the bug. You know, okay, we've got 7 minutes left. Here's what I want to do. What do I want to do in the remaining time? None of this is really great to do in the remaining time. I've got to do a bunch of stuff with strings that is going to be annoying. I basically have to audit them. I've already started to like track them in a spreadsheet about what I'm going to need to do with strings. It's and I don't have to dive into that in the remaining time. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit this work as a work in progress patch. Bug such and such. Create a Proton specific fork of the Firefox accounts menu. And I think I'm going to cap the stream there. Because, yeah, we don't have much time left. You know what I'll do? I'm going to do a quick check inside of chat. Is there anything that anyone wants to know about? Maybe you've got questions. Maybe you've got comments. This is a good opportunity, actually, while I'm waiting for that. If you yourself have questions or comments that you don't want to ask, you're watching this after the stream was posted, the recording was posted, there's a link in the agenda on how you can rate the episode. It's in bold here. I should actually create another new line there. Rate the episode. Maybe, like, can I make it even bigger? Rate the episode. Like, do it. I don't know how else to, like, really draw your attention to it. But let me know what you thought. This will link to a Google form that allows you to, like, fill stuff out. And there's a section that I just added. If you want to ask me questions, I can try my best to answer them during the next stream. I haven't gotten any questions yet, so feel free to ask me some. And I'll do my best if I can to answer them during the next stream, if I have the answers. And also, this is an excellent opportunity. You know, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a subscribe button. Why don't you get that a click? And if you're, you can like the video wherever you are. And I'm a pretty bad salesman, but that's the idea. And go check out these livecoders.dev, and go check out Automated Tester's work, and go download Firefox on all your friends' computers. And tell the world. And I think we're going to cap it here. Oh, T-Bod T noticed that, yeah, you can put things next to your tab strip whenever you enter customize mode. Yep. Yeah, you can absolutely drag items to the right here. You can drag items to the left here if you want. You can put things on either side of the tab strip. Yep, it's very handy. That's where I put my accounts button. All right. Thank you so much for watching episode 239 of The Joy of Coding. You've been wonderful as an audience. I will see you next week with episode 240. And take care of yourselves. Have yourselves a great week. So that's it. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Hang on. Let me turn the microphone around so you can hear the music. The Joy of Coding. See ya.